In the next two videos, we are gonna break down every single AA node we have inside n8n. So we will learn all main AA nodes in n8n and when to use each one, understand AA node components like retrievers, memory, text splitters, and more, see the difference between system user and AI messages, get quick rules of thumb for choosing the right node in real workflows. So basically, I encourage you to watch these videos very carefully and to the end, because once again, we'll cover all AA nodes we've got here. Additionally, we will cover other AA nodes, all of the options we've got there, so it's a lot of information. However, after you know it, you comprehend it, then you've got this data, actually information and knowledge for a long time. And then for an example, you know which node to use in which circumstance, or let's say actually you know exactly how to use every node inside n8n, which is a huge achievement. Additionally, I need to mention, I said before that we'll have two videos for this specific material, and it's due to the amount of information we have when it comes to AA nodes, its extensions, and other different options. So in the first video, we'll cover these 5 AA nodes. So we'll cover AA agent, basic LLM chain, information extractor, sentiment analysis, text classifier, its extensions, a lot of options that come with these AA nodes. And in the second part, we'll learn about the summarization chain, question and answer chain, evaluation, and other AA options we have inside n8n. But for now, no more speaking, let's get started with the first, the most common AA node, which is AA agent. And also I need to mention, I've got for you in this specific file, the cheat sheet. Obviously you can just download the specific workflow in the resources of this material, but we've got the cheat sheet for AA nodes overview and to use them. So just 2 sentences. AA agent, use when AA needs to plan and perform multiple steps, often with tools. Example, find the latest AA news, summarize it in Google Docs and send by email. And now let me explain it. Use AA agent when you need to connect LLM, actually not LLM, however, AI to tools. So AA agent is the only one node that can just connect tools inside, okay? So can just take some tool and perform some specific action. So here, as you can see, we've got this plus and we can add the tool. We've got multiple different tools from HTTP request to just different applications. So for example, we can use Google. Obviously in the course, we are just every time connecting tools to our AA agent. And once again, AA agent node is typically for just AI to perform some actions, to not just return for you plain text or just, I don't know, some structured response, however, to do some stuff, so maybe schedule a meeting in Google Calendar or just send an email and do everything at once, okay? So this is the main purpose for AA agent. For an example, if you have some plain request for LLM, you use basic LLM chain. However, about it later. So for now, let's cover what we have inside. Basically, what we have, we've got the prompt. So we just type the prompt as with the typical ChatGPT, for example. Then what we can do, we can require specific output parser, obviously. We'll cover it later in this video. Then we have enable fallback model option. So in case our main model doesn't work, so in that case, OpenAI, I don't know, maybe we have some API error or just rate limit or so, we provide other models, so we can use Anthropic. So in that case, actually when this model doesn't work, so the main one, it will be just using just the Anthropic model. So it's a great option for just providing some safety net, okay? And now basically we've got also other options. So options we can use with this AA agent, however, about them in a while. For now, what we can cover is the memory option. So basically, we just used a lot of it inside our course. You will encounter it a lot, or maybe you encountered it. But basically what it does, it gives our AA agent some reference. So if we use, for example, simple memory, here we just provide context window length. So let's say we just chat with our AA agent. And then we give them 2 messages, and then it returns for us 2 messages back. So that means our conversation is 4 messages long. So in that case, we just define how many past messages it should remember. So basically, if you don't have this option enabled, and if you chat with your AA agent, it even doesn't know what was the last message, okay? But if you give him, let's say 20 length, so 20 messages in the past, then it knows what these messages were, what was the context, and so on. Okay, so use simple memory for that case. Obviously, we've got the tools. So basically, you can call any tool like Airtable. You can call even another A agent. Like you can search. All right, we've got Facebook here. We've got their, I don't know, Google Sheets. So in this course, many times, I mean, A agent node is the most popular node out there to use. We use it a lot in the course. So probably you know what is simple memory, the tools. However, once again, these two videos are comprehensive videos about all A nodes, so we cover everything in depth. So we've got every information in these two videos. Okay, and right now let's add the tool, so I will show you. So it works this way basically, but now let's cover the options we have here. So we've got a system message, and also we use it a lot inside our course. However, about the difference between prompt, system message, and AA message later. We've got max iterations, which indicates the maximum number of items the node will rerun itself. So basically, let's say maybe you've got some specific data and you just indicate, okay, just run only 3 times and try only 3 times to retrieve the specific data, then stop. Also, we've got here the explanation. So the maximum number of iterations the agent will run before stopping, okay? So sometimes maybe you've got the case like agent runs for a lot of times, but you would like to stop him after 2 iterations or so. The next option we have is return intermediate steps. So what it does, basically, it returns for you information about the actions that agent does. So here even you can read, so whether or not the output should include intermediate steps the agent took. Maybe let me actually enable this option and maybe let me run some specific case. So basically, I just run some simple task inside my A agent. So give me some data about real estates in Warsaw right now, then get information from our Google Sheets after combine both information together. All right, and now I can see what we have, and we've got the response. And now normally we would have only the output. But basically, when we enable intermediate steps, we've got what happened inside. So here, just look at the end. We've got something called observation. So, like the response from our A model. However, like this option allows you to just retrieve more data than usual. It's not that useful. I don't use it mostly, but if you need something called, I don't know, maybe called like the type. So what it does, so it calls the tool for that case, or like, like other different sophisticated data, just use it. This is an option inside our A agent. But let's move on. At the end, we've got 2 options. So automatically pass through binary images. So basically, right now, let me show you how it works. So I think ChatGPT did a great job explaining it. So normally, when your workflow has an image file, binary data, you would need to manually pass it into the A agent if you want the A to see it. With this toggle on, the node will automatically forward any binary images from upstream nodes to the agent. The AI then treats them as image type messages for description analysis or multimodal input. So it saves you from wiring the image manually. If there is a binary image coming in, it automatically passes it through so the agent can use it. Also, I asked for the example. So here we've got product image analyzer. So the user uploads a product photo into workflow, and then the image arrives in n8n as binary data. If we have this option enabled, the image is automatically forwarded to the model, and then it performs some specific task. But without this option, you would need to manually attach the binary image into the AA message. So somehow connect it to our AA agent. However, with it, it's automatically passed to the AA agent itself. And basically, once again, it's a pretty niche option inside our AA agent. And also, all the options are very rarely used. In 95% of just using AA agents, you won't be ever using like all of these options. However, they exist, and for now you know how they work. Let's move on to another AI node, which is basic LLM chain. And this is the secondly most used AI node inside n8n, and I see people don't know when to use it and what's the difference between AI agent and basic LLM chain. Use basic LLM chain for just casual, just normal, LLM requests. If we go here to the right side, you can read use for simple prompt and response tasks with no advanced logic, translate a sentence or generate a headline. So simply you just connect to LLM model this way. It doesn't have memory, it doesn't have tools, like this node can't operate the tools, like it's basic call to LLM, okay? So people I see like use AI agent to also like, I don't know, just create some basic LLM call, like the call to AI model. However, AI agent is typically for performing tasks. So if you don't perform some tasks here, or you don't need to like provide right there, I don't know, maybe memory or so, just use basic LLM chain. It's much better in that case. Inside what we've got the prompt. We can require a specific output format, so output parser, and we'll talk about it in a while. Also, we can enable fallback model. However, here, what we've got 3 different types of actually our messages. So a message, system message, and user message. So right now, I've got for you the cheat sheet, so let's read it. Because it's much different. I mean, system message is much different than the prompt, and now I will just explain you everything. So system message is used to set the behavior, tone, or rules for the AI. This runs before any user input is processed. So actually treat it as programming, learning some machine how to work. It's the system message. It works the same as you program your custom GPT, so your AI agent. So kind of you give the instructions for the model how to work. So you hard code it, aka. Okay, so basically you use it to define how the AI should respond, what it should prioritize, or how it should behave. So in this section, of course, we created our system messages, and you know how they look like, for what they are. So you just give all of the context to the AI agent how it should work, or LLM chain in that case. Okay. So use when you want to control the AI's personality or format, you need specific response rules. We've got the user message, which is the prompt. If you've ever created custom GPTs, you're familiar that inside you need to provide the instructions, and the instructions equal system message. And the user message that we provide inside our model, a model, equals the prompt you give to ChatGPT at all or custom GPT. So basically, every time, whenever you, I don't know, you just program your AI agent basic LLM chain, in the user message, so the prompt here, for example, just provide, I like to provide here the context, what the AI node should do, and like the variable from the previous nodes, like the information from the previous nodes. And in the system message, I hard code the entire model, how to behave and work, if that makes sense. So yeah, user represents the actual message or input from the user. This is what the AI is responding to. Can you find me the cheapest flight to Madrid next week? Okay, so it's pretty simple. And at the end, we've got something called AI. So it represents what AI previously said. This can be useful when building multi-turn conversations or testing. So example, sure, do you have a preferred departure city? So use it when you want to provide context from a previous AI message. You're chaining messages or testing dialogue memory manually. So to wrap everything up, just use the user message to provide the context from previous nodes, along with maybe some general task, or you can just provide only the context. Use the system message to actually hard code your model, so actually program it, just give instructions how it should behave and perform, and use the AI message to kind of give some context what the AI said previously, okay? So in the previous response, so then AI maybe can, it will remember past interactions, past one interaction, and in some cases it may work better. Maybe let's say you asked some questions previously, one question or so, so then it remembers what was the last question. All right, so let's cover what we have else inside our basic LLM chain, and now we'll cover something called batch processing, all right? So we've got this specific option. We can provide batch and processing and batch size. And what it does, let me actually show you on this simple example. So overall, let's say we process a huge amount of items, maybe some prompts, messages, or even rows. And then we use our model to just do something with it. And sometimes when we have, let's say, 100 items, 200 items, it's not that great to do it at one go, okay? Because maybe we will have some crashes, like model can be really overwhelmed, we may have some errors, and so on and so on. So for that case, we've got batch size processing. What it does, it just splits your items into just pages, parts, or just, chunks, okay? So let's say I provide the batch processing of 10, and then what we'll have, it will process our 48 items into 5 goes, in that specific case, into 5 items, aka. So it will just take 10 first items, it will just analyze it and process it, then it will just wait for some specific time, like we can also provide the time here, however, about it later. But what it does, once again, it takes 10 items, it processes them at one go, then it takes another 10 items, another 10 items, another 10 items, until the end, and it processes it in batches. So once again, if we have 48 items, we provide the batch size, which is 10, then we'll have 5 items at all. So basically now, let me show you how it works. What I can do, just execute the step. And now, just look. Yeah, it processes 10 items, then it stops, then it processes 10 items, then once again it stops. Yeah, so as you can see, it works this way. So once again, it's great if you have, I can say, plus 50 items, maybe 100. So then you just analyze it in chunks rather than just 200 items at once, okay? Also, we've got something called delay between batches, and we provide it in milliseconds, I guess. Yeah, milliseconds. So if I provide 3000, I will just have a break and just time interval, which is 3 seconds before, just between running the our batches, chunks, name it as you want. So I can execute the step and then just look 1 to 3 for 1 to 10. Then we stop for 3 seconds. Okay, then we process next 10 items. We stop for 3 seconds and we do it once again. Yeah, so this is how it works. Let's move on to the next node, which is information extractor, and use it to extract structured data from freeform text, get name, address, and product from an email. And if you've used, let's say, output parser, structured output parser before, it's really similar. However, here we've got some differences. So basically, so far I just have it set it up. So I've got, hi, my name is Sarah Johnson, and we've got some information. So CD and date, right there, I don't know, even Visa card, information, phone number, and so on. And right now what you do, you just specify the attributes. So you can choose attributes from description, you can generate from JSON example, or even define using JSON schema, okay? This is your option, this is your choice. But basically we use from attribute descriptions the most. And now I can define my attributes. So exact JSON structure I would like to get and information I want to retrieve. So right now, maybe let me, what I can do, just let me provide the trigger. So here trigger manually. And then based on this information, I just extract this information. So name actually, which is a string, number, and email. And that's great because at the end of the day, we've got our object. So JSON format. And here name, this is the text, number, and once again, the text, which is an email. And as I said, it's really, actually, it's really similar to output parser. However, there's a huge difference. Because what is an output parser? Let's go here and let's provide this text right there, okay? Let's provide this text right there. And now inside the tool, we can enable specific output parser, firstly. We can provide 3 different output parsers. And let's take this one for the comparison. Inside, you can provide the JSON format you would like to get at the end, okay? JSON structure. So let's say you can provide the name right here. You can provide the name. You can provide the email. Just leave it blank, of course. Leave it blank, so then you just indicate like, okay, just fulfill it with the data. But basically, we just provide the stiff, actually strict format. And now, when we have the data, when we have the information that goes beyond what we have inside our JSON output parser, sorry. When it goes beyond it, sometimes we may get some errors. So simply here we just only like return name and email. So maybe let me run it. So I probably will get some error. We'll see. But okay, what I can type. Okay, let's just leave it. Let's see if it works. So yeah, it worked for that case. But once again, sometimes when we have just here, we've got more data, okay? So it may crash. But with this information extractor, it won't crash. So simply it returns what you exactly want. So let's say I have this entire text, like blah, 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 a lot of information. However, I only want to have the name. So then let me remove other specific fields. Okay, we need to have the trigger. Okay, I just can run it and then I get only the name. However, once again, with output parser, you may encounter some issues. Additionally, for the attributes, you can add different attributes. So you can add, let's say, email once again. You can choose the type, which is Boolean, date, number, string, and the description for it. So you just describe it for the A model in case to work. Because sometimes you may have some fields that are not perfectly described. So you just help AI to just know what to extract, okay, in that case. And I really love it because once again, you may have a long text, huge amount of the data. However, you extract only specific information. So that's perfect, lovely tool. For the options, you've got actually the system prompt template, so you can provide it, or batch processing, however we've covered it. But for now, let's cover output parser. I mean, 3 types of output parsers we've got here. Let me show you. So we've got firstly autofixing output parser, item list output parser, structured output parser. For structured output parser, we covered it, so we just provide a specific JSON format, and then it adheres to this specific format at the end in our response. So it's great for our AI agent when we need to have, once again, maybe we are creating some, let's say we are creating some prompt, and now maybe you would like to have the caption. We would like to have the prompt, let's say the platform. So 3 fields, but like this is everything, okay? Just despite other different fields. That's all. We want to have only 3 fields. So then in that case, you use structured output parser and it formats it this way. So we use it a lot in the course. I hope you understood what it means. If not, obviously, remember you can ask the questions in the Q&A section. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. But let's move on to autofixing output parser. And what it does, it's a great tool because generally, as I said, we may have some errors when we provide some JSON template, so output parser, but the response, like from the AI model, doesn't adhere to it. We may have some problem. But we are using autofixing output parser to just use model, so OpenAI model, to just refine the AI response to match the output parser, if it makes sense. So here, what we do, we just provide the output parser, so structured output parser, and here, once again, right there, we should provide our specific form. But once again, what it does, it uses AI to just fit the answer to structured output parser, so it works. So it avoids any crashes inside, our content. So yeah, we used it in the course also. You may encounter a lot of videos about it. And the last format of output parser is item list output parser. So when you have this type of the parser, let me now maybe just provide a trigger. You just say, okay, just take and just separate the content into multiple items. And now basically inside we can provide the number of items. If it's -1, actually it will take, basically there is no limit, okay? So it will take as many items we want. But let's say if we provide 3 items, it will return 3 items. If 4, it will be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. Also, we've got a separator. So now maybe let me show you how it works. Maybe in this agent I can type return in the response return only only this data. And let's say I provide some, I don't know, vegetables, so onion, pepper, okay, and then what else? Carrots, whatever. And now basically I've got here the separator, which is comma. So now what I do, I indicate, okay, just take this item firstly. Let me show you. Just take this item firstly, put it in the item 1. Take this item, put it in the item 2, and this item, put it in the item 3. And AI knows, actually, this output parser knows how to separate it because we add the separator, which is comma in that case. If actually here I had, let's say, maybe I had here something like plus, okay? Like plus. This is the separator output parser will be looking for. So I provide here the plus, and let's say I provide the unlimited amount of items. So right here I can execute the step, and we'll have 3 items right here, so item 0, 1, and 2. Also I can say it may be great, so this output parser, to for an example return paragraphs in multiple items. So let's say you've got the white space, you've got the break between paragraphs, so then you just provide the separator, which is, as we had here, /n, okay? And then you just return items, like multiple paragraphs in different items. But I can say the most used format, I mean output parser in that case is structured output parser for sure. Secondly, let me show you. Structured output parser. Secondly, we've got auto-fixing output parser. And I use very rarely item list output parser. But we've got these specific options. And for this specific node, that's everything. Let's move on to our sentiment analysis. So this node, as it says, it returns actually the sentiment of a message of the content we provide. Also, it's near to the text classifier because it works pretty similar, you will see. However, sentiment analysis tool, AI node, is basically and specifically for emotions, okay? It's trained for working with emotions or emotional text on just the sentiment in the content. And the text classifier works on just all different categories. So we may have like, I don't know, categories such as positive, neutral, negative as here, but also, I don't know, maybe the type of, maybe let's say the types of lighting for our studio, type of the article, type of the furniture. I don't know, maybe it's weird what I'm saying right now, but you know what I mean. Actually, it's for every category you can imagine, okay? And now let's cover how sentiment analysis work. So I can provide maybe some, what we can type. Let's go ahead with the chat message. So we add the next trigger on a chat message, and here let's just provide it. So basically I can provide text to analyze, so JSON chat input. And now what we have, we can include detailed results. So it will just provide some additional fields, but we've got here the options. So as a default, we've got negative, positive, and neutral, I believe, categories. Yeah, we've got here, but we can change them. So maybe we can type different categories. So roots or just polite. I don't know, just you can provide it. Additionally, what we have, we've got the batch processing and system prompt template. But for now, maybe let me provide some message and let me show you how it works. So we've got the following message. So this course completely changed the way I work. I save at least 5 hours every week thanks to the automations I learned here. So I hope it's more hours for the course, for sure. And also you enjoyed the course. And by the way, if you would like leave me an honest review or rating of the class, I really appreciate it. But now let's run it. And let's see, yeah, so the sentiment is positive. So it's categorized this sentiment, so this message as positive. And then we can continue with this path, so we can add some specific steps. If the content is neutral, we can process with other path and so on. And now just basically imagine the case like you receive emails from your customers or some messages, and then automatically would like reply to them. So then just use sentiment analysis and just provide the paths. So for the positive email, you just have the template that you use. For the neutral, you have like you're a bit apologizing, and for the negative, you try to just get the information what was wrong, and you just apologize for the customer. Okay, but let's move on to the text classifier, which is pretty simple. So we've got the text to classify. Let's go here. So we have the text to classify. You provide the category. So maybe once again, I don't know, maybe let's say vegetable. Okay. Then we can provide the fruit, meat, and we can just provide a description. So this is for a vegetable. Okay. This is for the fruit. Let's do it very fast. Okay. So basically, it works the same way as the sentiment analyzer. However, the previous note was for emotions, as I said, and this one is for vast, like every category you can ever imagine. So right now, maybe let's provide a chat, and I can provide the salmon, and let's see if it categorizes it properly. So salmon, we've got text classifier, so it's meat. That's great. So for now, I can say we've got it. So in the first part of the material, we've covered 5 different A nodes. So we had a agent, basic LLM chain, information extractor, sentiment analysis, text classifier. Also, we've covered the system user A messages and some components of our A nodes we can use. Let's do a small recap. So use A agent every time whenever you've got a tool. You want an AI to decide for something and right away perform some action. Use basic LLM chain to just trigger basic LLM request to just connect to LLM model, basically. Use information extractor to just extract the data in the specific format, JSON format. However, remember the difference between output structured output format, output parser, basically, and information extractor is this, like information extractor doesn't crash and it retrieves only the data you want. But sometimes if you provide the output parser and the message from AI will differ actually from the output parser format, then it may crash. So this is the main difference. Use sentiment analysis to analyze the content based on emotions, and use text classifier to just categorize the content based on any category you want. And I can say for now that's everything. Thank you for watching, and in the second part we'll cover other A nodes inside n8n.